Hey guys, coming at you today with day 2 of the Keto Dairy Queen ice cream cake. If you haven't checked out the mess that was day 1, definitely go check out that video first, because I do reference that video in this video because I didn't realize I had like 2.5 hours of footage and had to split it up into 2 videos. So I explain a lot of things, give a lot of tips and tricks on decorating and other things you can do to customize these Keto Dairy Queen ice cream cakes. So let's get started and let's get these cakes finished. We're going to be jumping right in here, but please make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure you leave comments down below, share with your friends and family. It all does really help the channel. So without further ado, on to day 2. Okay, it's the next day. It's very early in the morning. I'm hoping that this bowl is good to go. It wasn't sloshy anymore yesterday at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, like only like an hour after I put it into the other freezer. I didn't want to risk it not being frozen enough to freeze the ice cream base though. So I didn't risk it yesterday. It's super early, Van's still sleeping, but I want this to freeze for a couple hours before his nap so I can decorate the whole cake during his nap time. Let's get to churning some chocolate ice cream. And I'm also going to pull out my sweetened condensed milk from yesterday. It can sit out for a couple hours. It'll be fine. It'll be at room temperature to make our no churn ice cream. Always give your base a stir and stuff before you pull out your ice cream bowl. Also, I think yesterday I don't have the tilt head. I have the raised one, and I had it on stir and it seemed too slow, and I let it go for like 10 minutes on that and then realized it was kind of going too slow. So I turned it up to like one more notch on the numbers, and it seemed to be going the right speed. So I'm wondering if that's why it didn't freeze the right amount yesterday in the right amount of time. You only have a certain amount of time before that bowl gets thawed, so it needs to be done in a certain period. Usually I've clocked it at 20 minutes before. So all your stuff is cooled, everything's chilled correctly, 20 to 30 minutes it should be churned. So I already have like my stuff ready to go. I didn't get my bowl out yet, getting it now, get it set up and poured in. Okay, it's churning. I'm gonna clock it. Be back when it's done nice and thick. Okay, it's only been going 20 minutes and it's done. This is what it should look like. So we're gonna I'm pretty sure I did 16 ounces last time, but maybe I only did 12. You should have enough for another pint after you have your layer on. I did check upstairs. My springform pan upstairs is only 8 inches, not 9. So this is going to be a shorter but bigger around cake. Yeah, I would have had enough for a pint of ice cream. I just didn't churn that last one enough. Okay, spread it out. And back into the freezer. There we go. I still got some to snack on. See you guys in just a minute. I'll be back in a couple of hours to get these out of here and frost them. Okay, the boy's down for a nap, so let's get to decorating our ice cream cakes. I'm gonna get everything measured out for my no churn ice cream. She wants the caramel macchiato, so that's what we're doing. I have that one. I have an original one. I have a Snickers ice cream bar, and I just put up an orange one. So if you want orange flavored, you can make that one. I'm gonna do 10 ounces of heavy cream, 1.25 cups. Whoop, I'm a little over. That's what happens when you're thinking 10 steps ahead of what you want to do. Okay, because she wants the coffee, I use instant espresso, Medaglia d'Oro. It's my favorite. We use this for our keto mochas we take camping with us. Well, we haven't went camping in ages. Sweetness level for this is up to you. To that we're adding some powdered sweetener. You could just do stevia, 2 tablespoons, 15 grams. I might still add some liquid stevia. We are doing coffee, so coffee's kind of bitter. So we might need to add a little bit more at the end. And then we're just gonna add some caramel extract to this. So we're gonna get this whipping, and then we're just gonna drizzle in our sweetened condensed milk. I'm not gonna bore you with that. If you wanna, go check out the caramel macchiato ice cream bar video. They're my mom's favorite. She's made them a couple times. While that's going, I would normally get my ice cream cake out and onto the plate or whatever platter I'm using it for. I'm not gonna whip that up while the camera's going. And also, in the haste of messing up yesterday and getting all flustered, I was shooting other videos at the time too, I threw my bowl of cookie crumbs in the sink without thinking about it, and they got all wet, so I have nothing to decorate my mom's cake. I was gonna use these, but there's almond flour in them, and my stepdad is allergic to nuts. So, I can't use that to decorate. I did have some caramel sauce in the freezer. It's not gonna like get super hard all the way through, so I'm gonna take some out to warm up and to decorate my mom's birthday cake. So we're gonna let that come to room temperature, and I'll probably use the cookie crumbs on my cake because that's just for me and my husband to eat. Got our cake round. I'm gonna wet a towel and get it really hot with hot water to release this ice cream cake. Okay, my towel is hot. I just put it around the edge, get it kind of warmed up. It will stick. Once it doesn't stick anymore, it should be defrosted enough. Might have to re-wet it. I'm gonna give it one more wet and one more time around. You can see it starting to melt. I think we're good. Go. Ooh, ice cream cake. Now, a bigger offset spatula. Get it off the bottom here. Warm up the bottom a little bit too. There we go. Onto your circle. And back into the freezer. That usually comes off a little bit better, I think, because this is more icy, because it didn't churn enough. It still tastes delicious, but it's not as smooth and creamy. Okay, so now we are going to whip up our frosting for this ice cream cake. Okay, our frosting is ready. You want it thick, but you want to make sure you don't overbeat it, which it was getting really, really beat in the middle, so I gave it a stir, and it's not super beat at the bottom. Now it's like the perfect frosting consistency. I tasted it. It tastes sweet enough for me, so it should be sweet enough for her. And we're gonna frost our cake. So I just pile a bunch on. Want to save some for piping. We're gonna use this to level it off. So once you get to the edge, go down. Should have a third camera set up for you. I have many frosting tutorials. I'll link one here where I have another camera angle. I did my entire wedding cake trial on YouTube, so there's a lot of it. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but you can use my no churn ice cream to make the entire cake. And you don't have to do any freezing in the process. Literally just make one layer, put it in the fridge while you make your fudge and cookies, and then put that on, and then make your next layer, put that on. Take no time at all. But that will be very calorie dense and probably quite a bit more carbs because we used a little bit of low carb milk for my ice creams. That cuts down the carbs a little bit. Okay, level off the top. I'll try to remember to take a cross section of this when I do cut it for my mom's birthday. So we are coating this in my mom's favorite because she loves this ice cream bar so much. We're doing the chocolate dip for that ice cream bar. We're gonna do it on this cake. So I need this completely frozen before we can pour that. This is gonna go back in the freezer. I'm going to bag up the rest of this into a piping bag to decorate the top of this after we're done. But then I'm gonna get on to making the no churn ice cream to decorate my cake for myself. So into the freezer with this guy, and we'll get on to the next one. Okay, I'm ready to make the frosting for my cake. So I'm just making a half batch of my no churn ice cream. I ran out of fudge, obviously, like you saw, because I did 2 cakes, but I made a butterscotch fudge sauce that won't get super hard in the freezer. I tried this with ganache and it didn't work, so it just got too hard, so that's why you need something to keep it soft. So I am going to make my no churn ice cream butterscotch flavored. I do have butterscotch extract. And then I'm going to decorate with my butterscotch fudge sauce that I made. So we're just gonna do a half batch, 5 ounces, or a half cup plus 2 tablespoons. And I would have just made more fudge sauce, but I ran out of my sweetened condensed milk because I didn't have enough cream to make a huge batch like I normally do. And I sufficed for a quart, and I shot videos with it, So then I just have 4 ounces of my sweetened condensed milk here. I'm gonna put in a tablespoon of powdered sweetener into here, or 7 grams, or 8. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm only gonna add a half teaspoon of butterscotch extract to this, and then we'll get to frosting that one. We'll see how that comes out of the pan. I've never made it in anything but a spring form. So this will give you an idea, if you don't have a spring form, what it'll come out like. I'm gonna do that now before I start mixing. Get my cake out here and get my towel hot. I'm just gonna put this around the whole thing. I might also, that comes out easier, I have some frozen fudge on there. Take that off. Make this easier to slip out. Basically want most of the frost gone on the outside, and it should come out, she says so confidently. Might need one more warm up, but it's starting to melt around the edges. You can see we do have that parchment in the bottom, so let's try it. Nope. One more warm up I think will be good. Could probably just dunk this in some warm water. I just worry that it's gonna melt too much. I want to melt it the least amount possible. Okay, I think we're good now. Coming out. Definitely melting away from the sides. There we go, it's coming now. I hear it. There we go. Just took a little bit of work, but it's out. Clean up the sides a little bit. A nice line. Back into the freezer with this guy. That's why you don't want to melt it too much. Back in. So it wasn't too hard, but took a little bit extra work. So it is doable if you don't have a springform pan. I'm gonna make my no churn and get to frosting. Now it's not easy to make a small batch of my no churn. If I had the extra sweet condensed, I would have just made a full batch because you can use it for so many things. You can make different flavored popsicles or ice cream bars, but it is done. For me, I think it needs more sweetness. That's just me right now. Okay, let's get out our mini ice cream cake. Clean up our edges a little bit. I'll show you pictures here of cakes I did, and I had enough fudge to drape over the sides of the cake as like a drip frosting. Turned out really good. But this does show you that there's a lot of different ways you can do it if you want. It was really hard to get my sweetened condensed milk into the mixture because there just was so little heavy cream in there. That's why I say it's easier to do a big batch. Okay, put this back in the freezer. You do want to wait until it's decently solid, probably about 2 hours before you do the fudge. So you will have to reheat the fudge. I would make sure your fudge is no hotter than like 90 degrees when you go to pour it on a cake if it's frozen. If it's still not quite frozen, you definitely want it as cool as you can get it without it being like solid. My freezer is packed. Now I just messed up the side of my cake. Try again. I'm gonna get cleaned up here. I'm gonna put the rest of this in a piping bag to decorate my cake. And then we'll get on to the chocolate coating for my mom's birthday cake. Okay, on to making this poured chocolate that I usually use for my dipped ice cream bars. This is basically like making my own keto chocolate, so it's less carbs than using like a commercial keto chocolate to dip in. So I just use the Baker's unsweetened chocolate. You gotta chop it really fine and then just add some powdered sweetener to it. It is a little grainy just as is, but when it's on the ice cream, you can't even tell. So that's why I've been using it. I will eventually come out with a chocolate video when I figure out the best chocolate, keto chocolate I can make. I'm wondering if I can just use stevia or monk fruit to make a chocolate and be less grainy. But I have to do some experimenting. You want this pretty fine. If it's not, it's okay. You'll just might have to mic it if all the chocolate doesn't melt in your coconut oil. I'm usually impatient, so I'm going to do it right into a measuring cup because we're going to be pouring this on the cake. Like I said, I normally wouldn't do this, but I'm going to try it. Now, I did put caramel on my ice cream cake, but I made my caramel sauce and I minused the cream a little bit so that it was thicker and not so runny at room temperature. Either way, it's going to freeze to the point where it's not going to be runny, but you're going to have a harder time getting it to stay on the cake. So I'm going to try to make a border with the ice cream and then maybe pour the caramel in the middle. See if that'll work. My wrist can't handle chopping much anymore either. Really not used to it. So chop all day, every day. Okay, so that's gonna be set aside. We're going to measure out 60 grams, or that'd be about a 1/4 cup of coconut oil. Whoa. Okay, we're gonna heat that in the microwave until it's super hot. I had in my caramel macchiato video, I think 170. You just want it really hot to pour over your chopped chocolate. While that's heating, we're gonna add some sweetener to our chocolate. I have down there 30 grams, so it's about a 1/4 cup. Okay, it says we're at about 199, so pour that in. All the chocolate in there. I'm gonna put a lid on it of some kind just to keep the warmth in a little bit and let that sit for about 5 minutes before we start trying to mix it. Okay, we're down to 93, so let's see what we're at, where we're at with the melting. Yeah, I had some big chunks in there. I'm probably gonna have to heat this a little bit. Whenever heating chocolate, I always say 50% power, 30 seconds until you only have some chips left. Go down to 10 seconds. You don't want to overheat it because otherwise you'll be standing here forever waiting for it to cool. Yeah, we're down to 84. We need it at about 84 to pour. So we're gonna have to mic this up a little bit. I did 20 seconds. Still got quite a few big chunks in there, but what are we at? We're at 94. So I'm gonna see if just stirring this will take it down to the right temperature and melt our chips. Doesn't look like it's gonna melt at all. I'll keep working on this, and when it's down to around 86, I'll be back to show you the cake and to pour. I'm gonna heat my butterscotch up a little bit and pour it on the edge of my cake and decorate that cake next. While we're waiting for that to cool. Okay, 50% power, about 30 seconds, and it's nice and flowy, but it'll freeze on the cake, hopefully, as soon as it hits. I tested the cakes and they're completely solid. Let's get out my cake. Because it's such a thin layer and the cake was frozen. For your cake, if you just want the regular cake fudge sauce, same thing, you just want it runny. And you're just gonna put it around the edge. You can obviously cover the whole thing if you want to also. You may need a little bit more fudge sauce. But I'm gonna try to kind of even up the top here. There we go. So if you did fudge, this is what it would look like, just chocolate instead of butterscotch. Pretty good. And then I have my extra cream here. And then with the fudge, once it gets thick, you can write on your cake. I think I'm gonna try and use, I'll save this just in case I don't have enough. I'm gonna try and write in my no churn ice cream, because I gotta write happy birthday mom on the cake that I'm making her. And I don't have fudge. So there is our finished mini ice cream cake. Oh yeah, this one I wanted to put, let's see if I have any. I have the bag that I broke up the cookies in. I hate putting almond anywhere near my mom's cake. There we go. You don't need a lot. Just a little to give it a little accent. Yeah, it's pretty. So we're gonna slice into that in a little bit. Let's see what the temp of our chocolate is. There is still a couple little chunks, which I'll probably just try to take out if we're at the right temperature. We're at 88, so we're almost there. Hopefully that will be ready by the time I'm cleaned up here. Okay, we are at 85 degrees. I took out the couple of chunks that I saw. There might be still a couple in there, which I'm not happy about, but I'd already heated it up again to like 96, so I do not want to go back and heat more because it would have taken forever to cool down again. So I don't think we're gonna need all this, but it's always easier to have more than less. This is gonna be a trial for me because I've never done it on a cake, so I don't know how fast this is gonna harden. Start in the middle. Slowly push it out to the sides. Usually when you do a poured ganache, you don't want to touch it too much because it'll mess it up. And I think we're pretty much solid in the middle. Yep, and solid there. So now take around where you want some drips. This side didn't get any drips. Use a spoon again. It doesn't harden as fast as the fudge would, so you're gonna have longer drips than with the fudge. I at least want the edges covered, so I'm gonna put the ice cream around the edges again, so it doesn't matter what they look like really. I like it better with the fudge. It's gonna be a hard crack chocolate on top. Looks pretty good. Do a little piping on top. So this one I'm gonna do if you don't like any of them, you can take it off. I don't like this guy here. It's the nice thing about the hard chocolate. It's back into your piping bag. I think that looks pretty good. And then we're gonna have to let this harden in the freezer before we can pipe on it. Okay. This has to freeze, and then we can write happy birthday mom on it. I'm gonna get cleaned up, get a hot knife and water so that we can cut a nice slice out of my ice cream cake. Okay, we're ready to slice into this guy. Now, if it was frozen for like completely 8 hours, I would let it sit out for like 20 minutes before you slice into it. But because we were in and out of the freezer, I don't think it's gonna be too hot. We'll see. Too hot. Too frozen solid. Hot knife works good. Yeah, my outside ice cream was a little bit soft. And my bottom ice cream. I'm gonna have to get a better picture. So that's the inside. It looks like a Dairy Queen ice cream cake. I'm gonna put it back in the freezer so I can get a nice slice and cross section. But let's try this before it all melts. The vanilla ice cream is a lot harder because it did not churn up enough. But don't repeat my mistakes. You won't have any problem. The fudge just becomes like a chewy chocolate in the middle. It is so good. I want more chocolate ice cream. My chocolate ice cream all melted. The cookies are still super crunchy in there. Give a nice texture to the cake. Ice cream cake. I'm gonna try my butterscotch. That is delicious. The only part that's not the best is the vanilla because it's a little bit grainy and it didn't churn enough. But I'll still happily eat this whole cake. My no churn ice cream is the perfect texture frosting for this cake. Like when I remember Dairy Queen ice cream cakes, I remember the outside frosting just being so creamy and melty. And that's exactly what my no churn ice cream is. It is so soft and smooth. I try not to eat this whole thing. I haven't even had lunch yet, and Van's gonna be up soon. So good. I'm excited to have all that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. If you guys missed your Dairy Queen ice cream cakes, let me know in the comments below and give this video a thumbs up because now you can have keto ice cream cake for your birthday. And the options are endless for flavors on this. I've done a cherry chocolate, I've done an Oreo, I did a peanut butter, like a Snickers, now a coffee one. Don't forget to check out my Amazon links and the blog link to the full recipe in the description box below. Give the video a thumbs up again if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, I'll be back with more keto recipes. Bye guys. Happy keto ice cream making.